We're back to talk more about the Yankees outfield. You talked to Brett Gardner. He seems like he'll be ready to go. But, Meredith, as you look at the entire outfield, what are you seeing?
When I look at that outfield, with the exception of Brett Gardner, I think, wow, they are getting old. You look at Alfonso Soriano, he's going to be 38. You look at Ichiro, he's already 40. Wells is going to be 35. So you look there and think, do they need another bat? I think the answer there is yes. And how are these guys that they currently have, if things stay the same, going to make it throughout the course of an entire season? And let's not forget, Brett Gardner is a guy that goes all out on every play. You wonder, will he make it through an entire season the way he kind of puts his body on the line with every play?
I look at that outfield and I see Brett Gardner and I say, okay, steady center fielder. I see Soriano. I say he's a guy who's more of a hitter, but actually played pretty good defense last year. And then you look at Wells and you look at Ichiro and you say these guys have become backups. These guys showed in the second half of last year that they are reserve outfielders. So though the Yankees have more in the outfield right now than they have in their infield, they still have some question marks out there too.
Yeah, although I don't know how much they're question marks. I mean, I think it's pretty clear they cannot go through a whole season with these guys. They need upgrades because, as Meredith pointed out and you pointed out there, I mean, these are aging guys who are all very good at certain times, but they're, I mean, aside from Gardner, who you can pretty much depend on, there's too much age there, and they need to get someone.
I don't think, Jack, actually Soriano will be a big problem defensively. He seems to have gotten better. I think we saw that, but can you get these guys to play to the back of their baseball cards? And that's the question. Wells did it for a couple months last year, but he couldn't do it consistently.
Yeah, I thought Soriano, in periods of time last year, I wrote something for the S Network website talking about how this guy might sneak onto the MVP ballot with a number 10 vote, that he was playing that well if the Yankees ever got into the postseason. So offensively, I think you're fine. And I think you're right, Bob. There were times being at games or watching games where I said, wow, he has really improved defensively. Some people from the Cubs said that he really worked on that. You look at the numbers he put up in 58 games. I'm not sure you can translate those across 162 games. But right now, would you take that average, 25 to 30 homers and 90 runs batted in from Alfonso Soriano? No doubt about it.
Yeah, and you know, he did play better defensively, so much so that they had Curtis Granderson, who was a center fielder, was playing DH. And I know that there were a lot of players that were kind of scratching their head about that, and they didn't really understand it. Joe Girardi explained it as Soriano felt more comfortable playing in the field every day, and he was competent enough that they allowed him to do it.
And I think a big thing with Soriano was the fact that he was energized when he came over here. He liked his time here. He felt as though playing for nothing at points in time with the Cubs really hurt him. Coming over here, playing for something again with guys that he was familiar with, really helped his game.
All right, so we've talked about guys that exist. Do they need to go out and get somebody? And if so, who is it? You know, my question, Dave, is we've talked about, for example, Shin-Soo Choo is out there. If they kick the tires, yeah. Long-term deal like that, I'm not sure that that's a fit, is it? So what are some of the options?
Yeah, it's probably not a fit. It's a possibility. The guy does not hit lefties. He hit 21 home runs, I think, last year. None of them were against left-handers. He's a good player. He's great on-base percentage guy, so that's a positive. But I just wish he was a little better for what he's available, for what he's going to get, or that Beltran was a little bit younger. But I would go 2 years heavy into Beltran.
I look at Chu, and I love the on-base percentage. I look at Ellsbury, and I think he, like Chu, is going to get one of these multi-year, 4, 5, 6-year deals that the Yankees want to stay away from. I start looking at that list, and I see Beltran, and I even see Granderson. Cashman was quoted the other day talking about how Granderson is still not off their radar. I'm with Dave, though. If there's any way you could get Beltran on 2 years, and I know that's going to be hard. He's going to push for 3 or more. I would love to see him on a 2-year deal.
And even that, you look at that and you say age there. Yes, he's been fine lately, but you're adding to an aging outfield already. So you look at Granderson, and while I don't think it's going to happen, I think that's a great fit, especially his swing at Yankee Stadium is something that has worked out very well in 2011 and 2012 combined for over 80 home runs. So, yes, he strikes out a little bit, but he certainly can be a solid defender there in right field or left field, wherever they choose to put him. You can also fill in if Brett Gardner needs a day in center field, and you get that offensive production. I think you look at this team and this roster right now, not knowing what's going to happen with Cano, not knowing how Teixeira's wrist is going to be and how he's going to respond offensively, not knowing if Alex Rodriguez is going to be back. You say, where do you get the offense from? Who's going to hit the home runs?
If Granderson had only accepted that qualifying offer, which I know his agent is telling him, you're going to get more money out there in the market, but he would have made life so much easier for the Yankees if he took that 1 year, $14 million offer and tried to build up his value. He decided not to do it, and that's why the Yankees, they have to find help in the outfield. We've given you all the reasons why. He's still on the radar, but I think he's a guy who's going to end up with a 3-year deal or better.
Yeah, and Dave, I'm intrigued to see what his season will be like in 2014, because it wasn't like he was getting injured because he's an oft-injured player. It's just it was fluke injuries.
Yeah, 2 fluke injuries, hit by 2 pitches, 2 broken bones. But I agree with all of you guys. He's a good player. I think he's going to hit a lot of home runs. I don't know about 40, but I would say he's going to approach 30, be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30. And I think the reason he's still in the Yankees picture is because Chu might price himself out of the market, their market. Ellsbury might price himself out of the market. Someone else may get Beltran on a 3-year deal. Granderson may have to still be in their picture.